Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to Stockradar Stocks on the Move for another week. Today's date is the 30th of November 2025. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website very well. I'm going to talk a little bit about trading consistency today and how we achieve that. Have a look at the website and see how I present my material for you. But firstly, I just want to say to you, you may call me an old bugger if you like. My focus on the ASX 200 and my penchant for trends has looked after me very well over recent months and years. It's called sticking to your knitting. Just like sticking to your trade plan and systems that have looked after you so well for so many years. Okay, there's a big, there's an attraction to divert out of these things. We're running hot, but we've just got to really maintain our focus on what we do and what we know best. Okay, well, certainly a lot of stocks going down at the moment, as we talked about last week, from CSL to WOW, and now CBA seems to be joining the fray. These are all stocks in downtrends. Okay. And I know as you go through the charts, you'll see a lot of them at the moment across the ASX 200. But there are some doing very well. And those are the ones in uptrends, and they're the ones that we follow. So it really is as simple as that. Don't overanalyze, don't overcomplicate. Just keep things simple and don't make life hard for yourself. Okay? So we're going to have a look at a few of those stocks today. And as I talk about, trying to get some trading consistency into what we do, because that's what we all try to achieve with our trading. Okay, so firstly, let's go to the trend intensity ratings. So we've got this week. Firstly, we've got APA at the top, just cruising higher. APA, nice little uptrend. We'll have a look at that chart later on. Whitehaven's joined the fray. We've got those two banks there, NAB, ANZ, Westpac. They're all doing pretty well. I know NAB had not a good day yesterday, but generally those stocks are all at their highs. Orica, I think another profit report today. I don't know what's going to do this morning, but it's been going very well. Proesis, Regis Resources, two gold stocks. Sigma's doing pretty well, just trying to bounce through that range. It's been stuck in a range for a while. And of course, we have Telstra again starting to make new highs, an interesting stock, which we have been in for quite some time. Okay, and you can see the chart there. It's just starting to break through there. We might have a bit of a closer look at it a bit later on as to what's happened and why. Okay, now, our stock pick count. Interestingly enough, we lost a lot last week. We've lost another 5 this week, so it's certainly been cut back. Now down to about 53 stocks from 156 stocks. So as I said before, there are some going up, but there's also a lot going down. We've got to make sure we're not in those stocks, because that's where we lose money and our equity reduces, and we don't like that. So there are 5 stocks out this week and none in. Okay, so now let's go to the markets. That's the stock pick count. Trend intensity ratings. Portfolios are generally full. We've lost a couple, so there's a little bit of froth taking off this market at the moment. So we've got to be a bit careful. But the overseas markets, as we're going to see in a sec, are also still looking pretty strong. Okay, so we go firstly to the Dow. And we see this again. Last night was a pretty strong night, I think. It's making new highs again. The trend is up. We're not seeing a different picture that we haven't seen for a few months. Okay, trend is up, volume's up, momentum's good throughout the 3 major indices. Dow, the S&P, same thing, same picture, and also the Nasdaq. Although they didn't make new highs last night, as the Dow did, they're still looking pretty strong there. So we're not too worried about those at the moment. Our market bounced off a little bit of support level down the bottom here, which we're watching. It struggled for the last couple of months, going a bit sideways. But generally the trend is up, and we have had a pretty mighty rise since March last year. So the last 12, 18 months have been pretty strong there. So just have a little bit of a cooling off period there. The banks are still pretty strong generally. I know CBA is weighing, CSL is weighing, Woolworths is weighing, but there are some good stocks in there holding them pretty well. And some of those resource stocks that I've talked to, BHP, Rio, Fortescue, they're trying hard. And whether they get there or not, we don't know. Iron ore's been holding probably a little bit better than everyone thought. So the jury's a little bit out on those, although we do hold a couple of those at the moment. But the ASX 200 is reasonably solid at the moment. Gold still hanging on well. We had a bit of a flutter the last couple of weeks, but it's bounced back a bit this week. Still looking okay. We note the volume was quite high in that little correction there. Hasn't really dented the price that much, so still looking okay to me. The gold sector, copper. Again, it's also bounced a little bit there. Still at that area there where we can see those big resistance there. Struggling there. Again, as I said before, we haven't got a huge amount of volume. So whether it's going to go power through yet, I don't really know, or it doesn't really look like it at the moment. So That's just it's a little bit sort of sideways there at the moment, trying to rally, but hasn't really been able to mount much of a challenge yet. And of course, Brent crude is still going down the tubes, as we know, for a long time, and we don't focus on that one too much. Although, having said that, Woodside's been an interesting stock for us, and it's also making some interesting ground. I'll be probably covering that in the newsletter at the end of the month, because there's a few interesting things happening there. Aside from the crude price. Okay, so that's the commodities, that's the indices, that's how they look. Not a lot of change there. So let's get into some of our stocks, and I'm going to be pointing to some of the stocks that have been good stocks for us. We're not too worried about the ones that are going down, although I'll talk a little bit about CBA and maybe 360 later on, but I really want to focus you on the good stuff, and that's where our positioning is, and that's where we want to be. Okay, so first cab off the rank is APA, which again, we had a beautiful downtrend there for a while. It came down and then reversed back here. We had the switch zone here, the trend reversal, and it really has just been down and now straight back up again. We had a small accumulation double bottom pattern here. Didn't last there for long, but now we can see this market is rising nicely. A very, very steady trend as indicated by the momentum index. And also we've got some plenty of green bars through here showing there's plenty of demand for these stocks, pushing this stock higher. And really, since probably about June of this year, we really have hardly seen a pullback on APA. So its trend intensity rating is +9. It may go to 10 next week. I don't know. That's of last week. But still, whatever it is, 7, 8, 9 or 10, it is strong, and that's what we'd like to see. So APA Group is performing very nicely. Thank you very much. And we'll keep holding that one. The next one I want to look at is Telstra, which has had a little bit of a sideways push for a while. It's held above our stop loss. We've been patient with this one, mainly because we quite like what's happened here. This rally off the lows was very good. You know, an inverse head and shoulders, if you like, with a clear reversal pattern through here, which is where we bought it. So we've held through here. This was a really nice upswing on the stock. It then went sideways, and I know you can get frustrated by these things sometimes, but really, following your system, some people might decide they want to get out and they'll just wait for a new high. I just tend to sit there while my stop loss is holding, which I have done, and now it's starting to make new highs again. Sorry, I just blow that up a little bit more. Starting to make new highs again and looking pretty good this week. So nudging through that high point there, which is around about 505, and I think it closed about 508 or something yesterday. So it's starting to look pretty good. And again, we've seen a bit of a selling challenge through here. A few red bars, and the market came back a little bit, but held pretty well. And now finally the buyers have held this stock up, and it seems to be pushing the stock higher again. Momentum has stayed positive above the zero level. It has slowed, as you would expect through here, but really the stock really has been fairly good, had a good trend intensity rating. It's held above its stop, and it's now starting to move higher. And it yields okay, and perhaps not quite as well as it used to, but there is a little bit of a yield cushion there for you with Telstra. Okay, now what we're finding is all the good news in the banks pushes the banks down, all the bad news tends to push them up. So the CBA has obviously been a standout performer, had a good result, better than all the other banks, but it's been caned. Yet again, we see ANZ, which and Westpac, probably not the best results we would have seen, but here they go. ANZ's gone from $28 to be now $36, $37. And that's been in since June this year. An amazing performance, and what we like, and I've talked about this for a while, we're now starting to make new all-time highs. So whatever you think about the fundamentals, I don't really mind, but what I look at is the price action, and the price action tells me what it's going to do, and that's what's happening with ANZ. It's making new highs, and we just continue to follow this high with a stop. Where it stops, we don't know, but for the moment, a new high is a very significant thing for us, and a new all-time high for banks is a very exciting position to be in for ANZ. So we like this stock very much. You can see some great volume coming through here. Momentum is strong. What's not to like about the stock? Trend intensity rating of 10. Okay, so those banks are looking very interesting. Again, getting back to, I think I hold about 2 stocks in the consumer discretionary sector, which is A2M and Harvey Norman. I don't hold JB Hi-Fi anymore. It tumbled off its highs over a little bit, but there's been a couple of stocks that have been doing really well. And this, again, a bit like Telstra, it's just held really well. It's had some great gains, but the sellers haven't hit the stock, haven't taken any profits on this stock, so it's done really well. and continue its trend nicely higher since our break higher in January this year, January 25, when it was around about $4.95, $5. It's now $7.52. Not a bad rise, thank you very much. So it's pushed through a new high here, made new all-time highs here, and pushing higher again, and now looking pretty good again. And the volumes are looking too bad. It's always a little bit thin, this one. And we push this up a little bit. We can see some reasonably good bars pushing this higher. We've seen some selling here hit the stock. Hasn't really knocked it off the shelf, which is a good thing. And now I think maybe a bit like Telstra, we might see the buyers start to come back into this one and push this one higher, and hopefully back through that high close, which was at about 768. Okay, so Harvey Norman currently rating trend intensity rating at +10 and looking very strong again. Okay, so these are the stocks we like, the ones that are going up, okay, not the ones that are going down. Transurban, well, I've looked at this one for a while. We've talked about it on and off. We know we've got this huge trading range that has been sitting in for a long time, but we do like what's been happening over recent months. Let me just get this in the right positioning. So we can see now we pushed through this sort of area here, which was a bit of resistance. Again, we were still in that trading range, that long-term trading range, so we didn't buy anything there. We just watched this one, and it's now starting to create this high-low, high-high scenario. But this is the major stumbling block, up around 15.30, I think it is, which it just hasn't been able to get through yet. But we're seeing green bars starting to appear here. Momentum's okay. It's above the average. The high-low thing is happening. So really, all we're waiting for one single thing now. We've got some good evidence there to base a trade on. We just need to see that break to new highs. And a bit like the banks, this is not an all-time high, but close to it, because it's above the trading range here. We've got the all-time high up here, which is a bit higher, which wasn't really that significant. I put far more significance on this line here because it's had so many touches on it. And it's far more relevant as far as I'm concerned. So Transurban is a very interesting stock to watch. Again, we're watching this one. We're not buying it. We're holding it. If it breaks through there, then we will buy it and set our stop loss. As always, we always risk manage all our trades with our stop loss to make sure our losses don't exceed 15%. Okay, so now the next one I want to look at is AGL Energy, one we've been looking at each week just to see how it's evolving. And not a lot's happened since last week. Still pattern here. We've had a bit of an up week this week after a bit of a sell-off last week. That's probably a good sign. Again, we don't want to get into too much detail. We want to really look at the bigger picture of things here. But an interesting pattern here, still performing like we'd like to see it perform, still holding off those lows. Volume patterns have been okay, momentum starting to subside on the downsides. So all the things are happening there. The moving average is sitting there just above the price at the moment. So we still have that trend intensity rating of -7 at the moment. So not a lot of change, but we'll watch it. Okay. Then we go to some of the couple of mining stocks, which have been interesting. Now, we've followed this stock for a long time, Regis Resources. As we've known, we've had this huge downward pattern. We've had the huge accumulation phase, which it broke out of back in October 24. Had a nice run. We stopped out. Another run here, which we've bought here, which we bought back in September at around $5. It is now $6.72, and another stock that's pushing to all-time highs, and we love all-time highs. Trend intensity rating is 10. We've held this one. We've held it's held above our stop, so we don't sell when resistance levels go. We watch them, of course. We can tighten our stop if the market hesitates, but as long as our trend is in place and all the conditions are right and it's above our stop, we hold the stock as we have done with this one here, and we're starting to benefit from this one. We've got some nice volume coming through here again, pushing this higher, so it's a new all-time high. So again, we really have no choice but to hold this stock and lift our stop on Regis Resources. So it's been a very profitable stock, this one, for the last couple of years for us. Okay, the next one which we followed, and I've talked about this in the last few weeks, again, surprises on the upside usually come with stocks with uptrends, and we've got Mineral Resources here. We know what's happened yesterday. It's been a very exciting stock. It does move. It moved a lot this week. It moved from an opening price of around 43. It's now up around 51, so it's moved about $8 this week, which is a pretty good move. We've had some reasonably good volume through here. It's thinned off a little bit here, but all the other conditions above the average, high highs, high lows, good momentum are all there. So it's really probably a matter with these stocks. Sometimes trying to get hold of stock is quite hard, and you can see what happened yesterday. It got pushed pretty hard once the buyers jumped on it and the stock price moved hard. So it's got great potential, this stock. It's looking very good. It just mucked things up a little bit recently. Chris Ellison, and even before that, the stock was going down from $90. It was going down since the start of 2023, but since then we've seen it had a great performance and is now recovering pretty well. And the trend intensity rating is 10, and it's an exciting stock. So we'll hold this one, and we're going to raise our stop again this week. Okay, so that's mineral resources. So you can see what I'm talking about here. There are stocks out there that are really good at the moment. You just got to focus on the ones that are, and don't worry about the other ones that are. A simple filter of high highs, high lows, low highs will tell you which stocks are going up and which stocks are going down. Okay, as I said before, don't overanalyze, don't overcomplicate things. A couple of stocks I want to have a look at, talking about stops. 360 was a rampant stock, ran so well for a while, and we've got to be really careful about getting too greedy with these stocks. You can see where our stop was on this stock. We're out of the stock, and we had some good money here. But it's now trend intensity rating -4. That will drop this week again. We've had a big drop, big volume, momentum starting to go out of it. So just, make sure you listen to your stops. That's all I can really sort of impress upon you. No matter how good a stock looks or how far it's gone or what you think, it doesn't really matter. And you may not be right, but at least you lock in a profit, and I can always buy a new high if it makes a new high. But for the moment, this is what's happened with this stock, and it's jumped off, and we don't want that profit to disappear, which is what it's all about in this game. And CBA is another one I wanted to have a look at it quickly. It's just something that really for the last couple of months, it's actually been struggling. I know it's been overpriced and overvalued and all that sort of business there, but we got out of this stock back in August when it hit our stop, and we've really been neutral since then. It's struggled for a while the other banks have done well. It's now made a lower high, which is not a good thing, and now probably a lower low if it finishes below there this week again. So we might be about to correct this overvalued status from Combank finally, which couldn't last forever, as we know, but we never know how long these things are going to last for. This was overvalued all the way up here, but we can still make money out of this and also make sure we protect profits that we've got. Okay, so who knows what CBA is going to do, but all I know is we stand neutral on this one, and we hold the other three, ANZ, NAB and Westpac, because they are going up. Okay, so that's the span of the stocks I got today. I really want to just impress upon you the ones that are going higher and the ones that are going lower. Okay, and it's a very simple way just to see exactly which ones are doing it. Simple stops, simple high, low scenarios, this sort of business. Okay, so I've got one other stock I want to have a look at for today, and this is another miner. The miners have been interesting. BHP's has been doing better. Rio's nearing its highs. Fortescue's had a reversal, and then we've got South 32, which is another one which I quite like. It's had a big downtrend for quite some time, and it's now starting to move higher. And we can see here, this is actually trend intensity rating should be positive because I've actually bought this stock a couple of weeks ago. But we've got a reversal here. We've got some lows here. We've got some volume patterns here, and especially here now, we've got some nice little volume here. So really, we've pushed through this level here. Hasn't got through the trend line yet, but that's not the most important thing. This is the whole focus here. Moving average, resistance line and trend line here, and it's starting to look fairly healthy, so 32. So it's certainly one to watch at the moment. It's been coming down for quite some time. We've got some good volume patterns, and we've got momentum now starting. It's moving back towards neutral, and we'll start to move positive. So this area here is becoming pretty significant for South 32. So another one to watch. I just had that feeling that the mining stocks are really starting to get a bit of a groundswell of optimism there. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Again, we need to make sure we get a reversal pattern in place before we buy them. Okay, so that's all the stocks I got for you today. Plenty of good stuff in there, plenty of good stuff to focus on, plenty of stuff not to focus on if you don't want to. So that's really how I look at life as far as the stocks go. Try and keep it as simple and easy as possible. Okay, so now I just want to simply get into the trading tactics, which really is a little bit about trading consistency, which I talked about before. Okay, and I'm going to show you the trading center, which is what I do, which is really just trying to portray the simplicity of what I do. But firstly, I just want to go through a few key points that the trend intensity will display. Firstly, it is all based on a clear and defined trading strategy. If this happens, I do this. If that happens, I do that. So it really is a very simple process that you follow. No decisions to be made. Risk management rules, all my stocks are risk managed, okay? So any entry position, I always have a stop in place, and I know exactly where that stop is. And you'll see in the trading centre, I adjust this stop all the time if I'm in a position. I also follow a routine, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, okay? You can see how I build my picture, I get my entry, I follow my trade, and I take my exits when my stop is hit. Okay, so the key things, elements of this are I am in control of what I do. I don't let the market control me. Okay, I'm very disciplined about what I do. I follow the trading centre and it tells me what to do, but I must do what I'm told and not think, well, I might not take this signal for whatever reason. Okay, I have confidence in what I do because I know the system works and has worked for a long time. As I said before, I look at the ASX 200, I look at trends. That's what I do. That's where that is my knitting. That's where I stick to, and that's my trade plan. So I don't need to go outside that to make money. Although there are plenty of lures and attractions, whether it's AI or gold or whatever it might be at the time. And I don't hold any AI stocks. I don't hold any ASX stocks, and that's just the way I am. But it's up to you. But anyway, that's my rules. That's my discipline. And I'm confident in what I do in the ASX 200. And this all is all about when we're looking at the trading centre, it's all about the process, not the outcome. So I'm not worried about what's going to happen. I'm always following my process. Okay. So Stockradar Trading Centre ticks all these boxes, what I'm trying to do. So I'm just for those, some of you may well know the trading centre very well. Some of you may not know the trading centre, but I just want to explain to you a little bit about what it is and how it works and why it is my main trading page. Okay, so firstly, when you come into the trading centre, you see what's this week what I'm buying, and this week what I'm selling, and this week I'm selling 5 stocks. Okay, fairly simple and easy. Okay, you can go down to one of these stocks and see exactly what the position is. And we'll go down there in a second. The next part of my trading centre is the Stockradar portfolio. These are all the stocks that I hold and the trend intensity ratings, and there will be 53 stocks there that are all in qualified uptrends. Okay, so they're all the stocks that I hold. Then here's the map of the market. So this shows me all the sectors. It shows me all the trend intensity ratings of the sectors. You can see which ones are trending up, which ones aren't. Then I have all the stocks that I cover, and here are the stocks that I hold. These are the 53 stocks that I hold. Okay, so this just very quickly you can see which sector, which stocks I cover, which stocks I hold. Okay, so that's just really what I call a map of the market. So in any one of these items, I can click on any one of these and it will simply take me down to the metals and mining sector, and I can see all the stocks in that sector. Okay, very simple and easy. So I'm just going to go through the page now across the columns so to explain to you what it is. And this is about the process. This is about the information that you need to be able to trade effectively. So firstly, I've got to know what the stock is. So Orica is the stock. I can simply click on a chart here and this will tell me exactly where I bought this stock and where my stop is. Simple as easy if I want to have a look at that. Okay, so that's the chart. I then have the trend intensity rating of each of the stocks that I cover. This is rating a 9 at the moment. Is it a stock pick? Yes, it is. If it's a stock pick, when did I buy it? I bought it on the 9th of June. And what price did I buy it? $19.10. What's the current price? $22.24. And where is my stop loss? It is at $20.96. In fact, in this case, because it's green with a white writing, it's protecting profit. So I'm in profit with this stock. Okay, whereas this one here, BHP is not in profit yet, $39.64. I entered at $42.70, so I'm still underwater there at the moment. But that's fine, that's okay. Hopefully that will change. But you can see all these other stocks here are all in profit. They're all stop profits, so these are profits that I've got to protect. This is the price that I adjust each week. So as you know, it might go up to $21 this week. It may go up to $21.50, depending what Orica does. I will make that assessment on Friday. Okay, then you can see the next column here shows me the profit, $3.14 on Orica, 16%. And you can go down through all these stocks here, what stocks I'm making money of, and what stocks percentage I'm making money of. And any of these losses or potential losses will never be more than 15% ever. Okay, so that's where I will cut them out. That's where my stop loss will kick me out. But it just gives you an idea of the profit and loss of all the stock that I cover. Okay, then the next column here shows you why I bought it. Was it a new high or was it a trend reversal? Okay, and then I will talk about the next potential resistance level. Resistance level is just to give you an idea of where the next selling might start to occur. As you know, I always just hold in while my stop is in place. I hold the stock. So a resistance level is a resistance level. It's not resistance until it stops the stock. but it's just to give you an idea of what I'm thinking about. So with Orica there, you can see all the positioning there, the trend intensity rating, where I entered it, where my stop loss is, and the comments I make, okay? And that's all the information you need to know to trade with what I do, okay? So I update this once a week. I do it on the weekend, and it comes out on Monday. So none of my stops are ever on the market. I don't trade during the week. I look at Friday's close, and I look at where my stop is, and that tells me if my stop goes off or my reversal level is hit, and then I will enact that trade on the Monday. Okay, so we can go down and look at some other sectors in here. They're all the way down, the communication sectors. You can see Telstra, Megaport, and Seek. There are only 3 in there, and you can see the profits they're making. Consumer commercial services, you can see I've only got 5 stocks in here. This one is looking pretty wobbly at the moment. PEXA, it's down 2%. We've worried, but the other ones are doing quite well there, as you can see there. And then we go to stocks like consumer discretionary. You can see I only hold 2 stocks in consumer discretionary, APE and Harvey Norman. The rest have all fallen by the wayside, including JB Hi-Fi. But APE and Harvey Norman are making some nice tidy profits for us. And that's what it's all about. Okay, so things that look worry, I just cut them out. Okay, so that's just the trading center. I just want to give you an idea of what it is and how it works. And you'll find that all these things here that I have here will help me create trading consistency in my returns and how I behave. Okay, so I'm totally in control of everything that I do all the time, and that's so important when you're trading. Okay, enough chit chat about that. I think I've explained it well enough for you. Okay, so that's about all I've got for today. That's my disclaimer. And that's my homepage, trading consistency. So really, I just wanted to say to you at the end here, I hope you've enjoyed what I've talked about today, because it is interesting. It's a great time to be making money, and not a lot of stocks are doing it, but there are some great ones making some good money. So a solid, systematic process presented in an easy-to-read, common-sense format guides your trading, guides your trading life, keeping it simple and putting it on a trajectory for trading consistency. And that's hopefully what the Trading Centre will do, will give you some sort of structure by which you can implement your trading strategy. Okay, something we all want to achieve is trading consistency, and that's so important in what we do. So step aboard the Stockradar spaceship, if you like, and enjoy the ride, because that's what we try and do. We try and have fun, we try and keep it simple, and that's the most important thing with trading, with anything you do, your business, whatever. Enjoy it and have fun doing it. Okay, so that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Watch your trends, especially, and heed your stops. Keep it simple, have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks very much.